Good evening, this is TCN English News Edition and you're watching with me, Ning Kim Kong Sai. First, the headlines. Ibobi Manipur KIM not buying false narrative propagated by United Committee Manipur, UCM. Center stations to CRPF units in Manipur. Cookies oppose move. Manipur police behavior in Kuki areas questionable. Assam rifle is unbiased, says Lieutenant General Kalita. News in detail. The Ibobi Manipur refuted the claim made by United Committee Manipur, a Valley-based Meitei CSO, of trying to divert Manipur's burning issue by saying that this crisis broke out due to illegal immigrations of cookies from Myanmar. In connection with this, the Ibobi Manipur issued a press statement rejecting the misleading narrative propagated by the United Committee Manipur, UCM, that illegal immigration is the root cause of the ongoing violence in Manipur. The release says this is a deliberate attempt to deflect attention from the real issue, the state-sponsored ethnic cleansing of Kukizo people. The violence that has ravaged the state for over 6 months is a direct consequence of the deep-seated ethnic hatred, not the cross-border movement of immigrants. The opposition to this fencing isn't limited to Kukizo people. Naga and Mizo communities have consistently voiced their rejections of the border fencing, citing it as a violation of human rights. Forcing such projects without respecting the indigenous bonds across the Indo-Myanmar border is both inhuman and unacceptable. The government of Manipur had already set up a cabinet subcommittee to address concerns regarding illegal immigrations along the Indo-Myanmar border. Despite this, the UCM continues to fan the flames of xenophobia, blaming the Kukizo community for issues they had no hand in creating. It's an attempt to criminalize the Kukizo people and justify the ongoing genocide, while ignoring the Meitei engineered violence that has targeted and displaced thousands. Border fencing will not solve the crisis at hand. The ongoing violence has been acknowledged by the Home Minister himself as an ethnic conflict, not an issue of terrorism or illegal immigrations. UCM's demand to prioritize fencing in Kuki-dominated areas is not only inhuman but also a blatant disregard for the ethnic ties that predate the existence of modern borders. Ibobi Manipur KIM strongly condemns the GOI's tendency to pander to the interests of a single community, the Meiteis, without considering the welfare of several other communities in Manipur. The release further asks for how long will the government of India continue to appease Manipur CM and Biren Singh, the architect of the Kukizo genocide, as evident from his leaked tapes. Manipur is not the only state sharing a border with Myanmar. This fencing impacts the ethnic communities of Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Mizoram, and Manipur communities, whose cross-border ties predate the very existence of modern India. Instead of prioritizing fencing, the government should focus on the welfare of internally displaced persons, IDPs, suffering from the ongoing state-sponsored genocide. When basic relief is still insufficient, border fencing cannot be a solution to the ethnic strife in Manipur, a reality even the Home Minister has acknowledged. Ibobi Manipur firmly believes that the only lasting solution to the ongoing conflict is the creation of a separate administrations for the Kukizo people. The repeated targeting of our community, the manipulations of facts by organizations like UCM, and the state-sponsored violence have made it abundantly clear that peaceful coexistence is no longer possible within the current framework of Manipur. A separate administration is the only way to ensure the safety, dignity, and future of the Kukizo people. Ibobi urged the government of India to recognize this reality and take decisive steps towards securing a permanent and just resolution, aided the release. 2 battalions of the Central Reserve Police Force (CRPF) have been deployed in Manipur by the center as part of its peace initiative there. They have replaced an equal number of battalions of Assam Rifles which have been sent to Jammu and Kashmir, though official sources have claimed that the decision to replace 2 battalions of Assam Rifles with those of the CRPF has been taken to effectively man sensitive areas in the strife-torn state. Kuki groups have opposed the move. They say that Assam Rifles, whose prime responsibility is to guard the Myanmar border, has won the trust of the minority tribal community which mainly resides in the hill areas. On the other hand, sources inform that the shifting out of Assam Rifles 2 battalions of the state out of the state has been done on the behest of the Meitei groups, which have blamed the first to be ineffective during incidents of firing against civilians by extremists, especially in sensitive areas or conflict zones. Incidentally, the 2 battalions of CRPF which have replaced Assam Rifles are stationed in Kampokpi and Charichampur, one of the 2 sensitive zones which have witnessed a spurt in violence. Lieutenant Rana Pratap Kalita, former Chief of Eastern Command who retired in December 2023, has confirmed that numerous lives were saved because the Army and Assam Rifles had put troops on standby before May 3, 2023, when violence broke out in Manipur. Former Director General of Assam Rifles had earlier told the Hindu that we saved nothing less than 2,000 to 3,000 lives between May 3rd and May 5th. While General Kalita was reluctant to give an exact figure, he emphasized that the troops saved several lives. However, the Army and Assam Rifles' role in Manipur has neither got the attention it deserves and certainly not the credit it merits. In a 40-minute interview to Karan Thapar for The Wire, General Kalita was questioned about the Kuki belief that the Manipur police are biased in favor of Meiteis and the Meiteis believe that the Assam Rifles are based in favor of the Kukis. In response, he said, the effectiveness of the Manipur police in Kuki areas is questionable. This has been the situation from the start. However, he insisted that the Assam Rifles are absolutely unbiased and extremely professional. In the interview, General Kalita said that the ineffectiveness of the Manipur violence had adversely affected central forces in Manipur. General Kalita was also questioned about reports that the insurgence of violence in September happened because Kuki insurgents breached the suspension of operations SOO agreement and are allegedly using rocket-propelled grenades fired from high-tech drones. In response, he made clear that insurgents from both communities have been involved right from the start. The Kuki Manipur KIM is commemorating a significant milestone. It's been 1.5 years since the ethnic violence erupted. To honor this occasion, KIM is expressing gratitude to all the brave individuals who have stood up for the community. In light of this, KIM emphasizes the importance of unity and supporting one another, especially since they share a common enemy. Commemorating Anglo-Kuki War and Savangkut, to foster this sense of unity, KIM has resolved to observe 2 significant events. Anglo-Kuki War Day on October 17th will be celebrated at local churches to pay tribute to the courageous warriors who sacrificed their lives. This historic event marks the Kuki people's resistance against British colonial rule in 1917 to 1919. Savangkut, typically a vibrant festival, will be observed in remembrance of brothers and sisters who lost their lives in the ethnic violence war. This year, it won't be celebrated with the usual fervor, but rather as a solemn tribute. KIM asks its community to abide by these resolutions and come together in solidarity. In a significant move, the Morea Youth Club MYC seized and publicly burned down illegal drugs today, sending a strong message to drug peddlers. This action follows MYC's warning to seize drug sales. NYC President Samuel Gangte addressed the media. Drugs pose a significant threat to our youth and community's future. We must work together to create a drug-free Morea, he highlights. Drugs seized from dealers and users burned publicly. 30 identified drug addicts to be sent to rehabilitation centers. NYC urges public support in combating drug management. Community applauds MYC's initiative. More residents express gratitude. MYC deserves appreciation for driving this crucial project, which is desperately needed for our society's well-being. This bold step demonstrates MYC's commitment to protecting More's youth and community. Will this initiative inspire similar movement in other regions? In a significant disclosure, the Financial Action Task Force announced on Thursday, 19 September, that India faces a diverse array of terror threats, primarily from Islamic State and Al-Qaeda-linked groups. These groups operate in and around Jammu and Kashmir and get funded by money laundering occurring in illegal activities inside the country. The global watchdog noted that India has established an effective anti-money laundering and counter-terror financing framework in many areas. However, it emphasized the need for substantial improvement in prosecuting money laundering and terror financing cases. This assessment was part of a mutual evaluations report published by FATF, which focuses on countering terror financing and strengthening anti-money laundering measures. FATF also pointed out that further measures are required to protect the non-profit sector from being exploited by terrorist activities, as India's primary sources of money laundering are within the country. The fourth round of India's mutual evaluations by FATF took place in November 2023. During the FATF plenary held in Singapore from 26 to June, the mutual evaluations report for India was adopted. It highlighted that the country had achieved a high level of technical compliance with FATF standards. India was placed in the regular follow-up category, a distinction shared by only 4 other G20 nations, including the UK, France, and Italy. Countries in the regular follow-up category are required to submit follow-up reports to the FATF every 3 years on a voluntary basis. At least 2 children were killed and one another was injured after a boundary wall of Kathia Baba temple collapsed in Bihar's Rabganj on Thursday. The wall fell on the children when 3 children who were bathing in flood waters near the temple. As per the information received, the boundary wall of Kathia Baba temple located at Rabganj Ada No. 2 under the city police stations of Saran district collapsed and fell on 3 children who were bathing in flood water near the boundary wall. Due to this, 2 children died and 1 girl is reportedly undergoing treatment in Sadar Hospital, Chapra. Action is being taken to remove the debris of the fallen boundary wall with JCB. Force has been deputed to maintain law and order at the safe place. Senior officers are camping at the incident site. The law and order situation is normal, Saran police informed. Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Thursday latched on to Pakistan Defense Minister Khawaja Asif's remark on the restorations of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir to hit out at the Congress, accusing it of speaking the neighboring country's language. Shah said on X that Asif's statement in support of Article 370, which gave the erstwhile state special rights, and Article 35A, has proved that the neighboring country and the Congress have the same intentions and agenda. Shah said the Pakistan Defense Minister's statement has once again exposed the opposition party. He claimed that the tune of opposition leader Rahul Gandhi's party and Pakistan has always been the same, and the Congress has always been hand in glove with the anti-national forces. Pakistan Defense Minister's statement about the Congress and the JKNC support on Article 370 and 35A has once again exposed the Congress. This statement has once again made it clear that the Congress and Pakistan have the same intentions and agenda. For the last few years, Rahul Gandhi has been standing with every anti-India force, hurting the sentiments of the countrymen, Shah wrote on X in Hindi. The Home Minister said, "Be it asking for proof of air strikes and surgical strikes against Pakistan or saying objectionable things about the Indian army. The tune of the Congress party and Pakistan has always been the same. The Congress has always been hand in glove with the anti-national forces, he asserted. But the Congress party and Pakistan forget that there is Modi government at the center. Hence, neither Article 370 nor terrorism is going to come back in Kashmir, he said. Pakistan Defense Minister Asif has said that the Shehbaz Sharif government and the Congress National Conference Alliance in Jammu and Kashmir were on the same page on the issue of restorations of Article 370. They have made it an election issue. Pakistan and the National Conference Congress Alliance are on the same page in Jammu and Kashmir to restore Article 370 and 35A. Asif was quoted as saying in an interview, Khawaja's command have come amid the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly elections that are being held for the first time since the abrogations of Article 370 and Article 35A 5 years ago. Meanwhile, Amit Shah stated that impressive voter turnout in Jammu and Kashmir showed the people's strong trust in democracy, peace and progress fostered under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Shah congratulated the Elections Commissions of India, security forces, local administrations, and the people of Jammu and Kashmir for making the assembly elections truly a festival of democracy. Jammu and Kashmir, where elections were once marked by fear and violence, held the first phase of the assembly polls peacefully yesterday. Voter turnout stood at an impressive 61.11%, showing the people's strong trust in democracy, peace and progress, fostered under the leadership of PM Sri Narendra Modi ji, Shah wrote on X. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on Thursday slammed the Jharkhand government and alleged that the flood situations in the state has risen since the Madar Valley Corporation's DVC is releasing water from its dam to save Jharkhand. She ordered the sealing of the interstate border and stated that the Bengal-Jharkhand border would be closed for 3 days, accusing the DVC of the man-made floods in Bengal. She threatened to sever all ties with the corporation. She also accused the government of failing to conduct the grading at the DVC dams, which led to the release of water and caused flooding in several districts of West Bengal. In order to monitor the flood situations, Mamata Banerjee visited Panchkura in Purbu, Benidipur district and Udyanarayanpur in Horan district. This is not rainwater. This is water released by the government organizations, DVC, from its dams. This is a man-made flood, and it's unfortunate. Why isn't the center addressing the DVC dams, where the water storage capacity has decreased by 36%? There is a larger conspiracy at play. This cannot continue, and we will start a major movement against this, she was quoted as saying by news agency PTI in its report. The flood situations in West Bengal is because of DVC's unbridled release of water from its dams to save Jharkhand. We will not keep any ties with DVC, she added. The chief minister alleged that there was a well-planned conspiracy to put Bengal in these situations. This has never happened before. I am in fear of what I have seen. We conduct meetings from time to time. I personally called the DVC chairman and requested him not to release too much water. In North Bengal, floods occur due to water from Nepal and Bhutan, and in South Bengal, it is mainly due to water released from Jharkhand, she said. She claimed that the DVC has released 5.5 lakh kgs of water this year, triggering a flood situations in Bengal. Yes, it rained for 4 to 5 days, but we could have handled that. We have adequate infrastructure, she added. Israel carried out one of the most intense bombardments of the past year, as war plans to launch 70 airstrikes, Lebanese security officials said. The barrage came shortly after Hezbollah's leader vowed to respond after explosions of pagers and walkie-talkies killed at least 37 people. The Israeli military said it carried out dozens of strikes against Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon on Thursday, as both countries unjustly faced the prospect of a rapidly escalating conflict. It was one of the largest bombardments in a year of heightened fighting, according to Lebanese officials. The airstrikes came soon after the leader of Hezbollah, the Lebanese-based militant group, voted retribution will come to Israel for the wireless device explosions that targeted his fighters and led to 2 days of panic in Lebanon this week. But even as the Hezbollah chief, Hassan Nasrallah, was promising his followers in a speech that Israel would pay, Israelis fighters screamed overhead, setting off sonic bombs in what seemed a clear show of might. Not long after, the skies over southern Lebanon filled with jets, and the bombs that followed were from bombs. The Israeli military carried out more than 70 airstrikes across southern Lebanon, according to 3 senior Lebanese security officials who requested anonymity as they were not authorized to speak to the media. The Israeli bombardment was a marked uptick from the daily tit-for-tat attacks that has characterized the cross-border fighting for the past 11 months. But it appeared to fall short of a major escalations. There were no immediate reports of casualties, and the strikes appeared to have avoided both major population centers and the country's heartland. Israel and Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran and Israeli Yemenis, have long been at odds, but tensions have ratcheted up since Israel's war with another Iranian-based group, Hamas, began in October. A day after Hamas attacked Israel, setting off the war, Hezbollah began firing rockets into Israel in a show of support. Earlier this week, pagers and walkie-talkies widely used by Hezbollah operatives began exploding all at once across Lebanon, killing dozens and wounding hundreds. The operations has been tied to Israel, though the Israelis have not claimed responsibility for it. The German government has denied claims that it has suspended permits for arms export to Israel, despite reports circulating that exports from Germany have stalled. There is no ban or arms export to Israel, and there will be no ban, a spokesperson for the Economic Ministry told news agency DPA. The spokesman added that the government decides on arms export on a case-by-case, taking into consideration humanitarian law and the current situations between Israel and Hamas. On Wednesday, Reuters reported that Germany has stalled new weapons export to Israel as a result of legal challenges, quoting a source close to Economy Ministry. Various other reports have emerged claiming that the German government has shifted its position on supplying Israel with arms. Since March, no more permits have been issued for arms export, with numbers being linked in the months prior, effectively putting all sales on hold, the domestic press reported. At the start of the war between Israel and Hamas in October last year, Germany granted to Israel arms export totaling a value of €326 million. However, as reported by Israeli investigative outlet Stromrim, the support was not repeated at the beginning of 2024. Scholz has previously been cautious about confirming whether Germany will continue to supply arms to Israel. At the end of July, he commented that Germany had not made a decision on whether to supply Israel with weapons in light of a ruling by the International Court of Justice, which concluded that Israel had violated international law through its operations on Palestinian territories. Its applications for arms export would be accessed individually, Scholz said during his summer press conference in Berlin. India on Thursday described as inaccurate a media report that say artillery shells sold by Indian arms manufacturers have been diverted by European customers to Ukraine, and New Delhi has not intervened to stop it. We have seen the Reuters report. It is speculative and misleading. It implies violations by India where none exist, and hence is inaccurate and mischievous, Ministry of External Affairs MES spokesperson Randir Jaiswal said. He said India has an impeccable track record of compliance with international obligations on the export of military and dual-use items. India has been carrying out its defense export taking into account its international obligations on non-proliferation and based on its own robust legal and regulatory framework, which includes a holistic assessment of relevant criteria, including end-user obligations and certifications, Jaiswal said. Artillery shells sold by Indian arms makers have been diverted by European customers to Ukraine, and New Delhi has not intervened to stop the trade despite protests from Moscow. The media report has said, citing 11 unnamed India and European government and defense industry officials as well as a Reuters analysis of commercially available customs data. The transfer of munitions to support Ukraine's defense against Russia has occurred for more than a year, it has said. After India served notice to Pakistan over the Indus Water Treaty (IWT), the neighboring country has urged New Delhi to honor the treaty's provision. India, on August 30, served a formal notice to Pakistan to seek a review of the IWT. Weeks after India's notice, Pakistan Foreign Office (FO) has urged India to respect the treaty's provisions. Pakistan considers the Indus Water Treaty as an important one and hopes that India will also comply with its provisions, said Pakistan FO spokesperson Mamta Zahra Balogh, according to PTI. Balogh further pointed out that there exists the mechanism of Indus Water Commissioners, under which all the issues related to the treaty can be discussed. She added that any measures to address any concern about the treaty must be taken within the provisions of the agreement. India and Pakistan signed the IWT in 1960 to manage the cross-border rivers. The treaty was facilitated by the World Bank and is one of the few pacts between the two nations that have survived wars and decades of tensions rooted in Pakistan-based terrorism directed at India. India's notice to Pakistan over IWT last month was rooted in fundamental and unforeseen changes, according to PTI. These changes were related to population's demographics and environmental issues, say sources in the Indian establishment to the news agency. The other concerns driving the notice were the need to accelerate the development of clean energy to meet India's emission targets and the impact of persistent cross-border terrorism, according to the agency. In January 2023, India has similarly sent a notice to Pakistan to seek a review. The agency further reported that India's annoyance with the World Bank, which is part of the treaty, for running two parallel processes for dispute resolutions is also behind seeking a review. India and Pakistan have long been at odds over the Kishanganga and Ratle hydro projects. To resolve the differences, the World Bank has appointed a neutral expert and a chair of the Court of Arbitration, and India has not taken kindly to it. India has not cooperated with the arbitration proceedings. New Delhi considers that starting two concurrent processes to resolve the dispute violations the provisions of the three-step graded mechanism prescribed in the IWT, and therefore India has been pushing for the resolution of the dispute through the neutral expert proceedings, reported PTI. The news agency further reported that sources are saying that in line with this approach, India has sought government-to-government negotiations with Pakistan through the August 30 notice to review the treaty under the provisions of Article 12.3. Donald Trump made headlines during a town hall event in the state of Michigan, where he pushed the controversial theory that China released COVID-19 from its Wuhan lab to undermine his presidency. Speaking to a crowd in Flint that included Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Trump said, "We had to focus on COVID, which many people believe was released for a reason. It came out of the Wuhan lab, which I say from the beginning. All of you notice, it didn't come out of Kiev. It didn't come from France. I call it the China virus because I like to be accurate." The 78-year-old former U.S. president claimed A lot of people think they did that because they were not happy with me as president. The Republican presidential nominee's comments comes amid heated political contest between him and his Democratic rival Kamala Harris ahead of the November elections. During his speech, Trump insisted that he had done a tremendous job managing the pandemic, citing the stock market rise as evidence of his success. "We did a great job, and we never got credit," he added. In what some deem an incoherent moment, Trump asserted that he does not ramble, claiming instead to deliver complex sentences that connect various ideas. He referenced the fictional character Hannibal Lecter to illustrate his point about connecting thoughts. The fake news likes to say, "Oh, he was rambling." No, that's not rambling, that's genius, Trump said, when asked by a supporter about the biggest threat to Michigan's automobile industry. Trump responded with an unexpected focus on nuclear weapons. He stressed the danger posed by hostile nations and boasted about his ties with leaders like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. "It's the single biggest threat to the world," he said. "You won't care about making cars if that stuff starts happening." Trump sought to draw contrast between himself and Harris, suggesting that while he may give lengthy answers, they are ultimately more productive than the U.S. Vice President. He claimed that his ability to connect ideas is what keeps crowds engaged at his rallies. That's all from us tonight, and we thank you for joining our program.